have tried to film this video like 3 times now, but I never wrote notes on it. My advice is don't do that. I now have notes, so hopefully this one will work out. This is what has personally worked for me and what I believe. This doesn't mean that this is going to work for everybody, and it doesn't mean that this is the only way to run a club or to make a successful club. So I'm just going based off of personal experience, and I'm going based off of what I believe is best. So the first part is don't focus on numbers. Now, I know everybody says this, and a lot of people say that they don't focus on numbers. However, it seems to be in the back of people's minds a lot, which is fine, because I believe that if you have a lot of numbers, you can definitely use that to your advantage. So for Saturn Manes, I like to try and spread positivity and use our big numbers for a good reason. So I focus on the fact that yes, we do have big numbers, but I don't let it get to my head in a way of I only do things for numbers. So don't just completely ignore the numbers. Definitely realize what you have and the best way that you can use it, but don't just do things for numbers. The numbers do not define your club, and this goes for scores in competitions. They do not define your club at all. You can do a bad routine, you can do a good routine. Numbers don't matter as long as you are having fun. So my next tip for owning a successful club or getting your club to be successful is definitely be active on social media. So this is something that wasn't always mentioned before, but personally owning my own club and also being a leader and whatever else in other clubs, I find that if you are active on social media, this allows people to see inside the club and see what you guys are like. It shows that you guys are active and the type of people that you are. This gets people interested in your club because people don't want to join an inactive club, and it also lets people see what type of club you are on the inside, because for sure you have inside jokes and stuff, and so you're going to act different to the public than you are behind the scenes. However, posting, let's say, a funny moments kind of gets people to see your vibe. So for sure, be active on social media. Not only does it get people to see a view of inside the club, but it also just shows that you're active and it gets your club out there. My next tip is to be organized. Obviously, if you want anything to go well, like school or a job, you want to make sure that you're organized and you have everything planned out. So before you start your club, I know it's really hard to not just want to make it right away. However, you need to make sure that you have everything set up beforehand, because you don't want people to join and then it just becomes messy and you run into problems. So 100% you want to have, let's say, a website, an Instagram, you want to have your Discord server set up, and your application if you're going to do applications. You want to make sure that it's all set up before you start having members join. So a very important thing is rules. If you have organized rules that makes it very clear and people can understand them well, then you shouldn't run into any issues. You also want to let people know what the consequences are if they break the rules. And you want to have this written down somewhere where people can see this at all times. Why? Because if you have rules, but they're not written where people can just go and check, then if someone breaks a rule and you go to them, you say, hey, you broke this rule, and the consequence is you have to be removed from the club, then they can say that they didn't know, or there's no proof of that's how it's supposed to be. So you just want to make sure that your rules are written somewhere where your members can see, and you also want them written so they can easily understand them. Another thing with rules is you want to make sure that you are enforcing them equally on everyone. So you can't say, okay, don't say this, and a member says it and you remove them for it, and then the next time somebody says it and you don't remove them. It obviously depends on the situation. I definitely like to look into the situation before, but you have to make sure that you're being fair and you are being equal. You don't want to have rules that you enforce sometimes but not always, because then that's not fair. You want to make sure that people take these rules very seriously and they don't get away with some stuff but then others don't. So my next tip is to have a team. So obviously, if you are starting a club without a bunch of good friends with you who you know could be a good leader or instructor, then it's going to be hard to have a team at the start, but that is okay. When I made Saturn Manes, I did not have a team with me at the start. I had people to join, but I was the only one running things, and that is fine. However, after a month, when the club started to grow a bit more, I ranked up a leader, and I did that because I did not want to be burnt out. I did not want to exhaust myself with updating the website, commanding practices, posting on Instagram, answering questions, every single thing that comes with club owning. So you have to have people that will be there to help you, whether it's command practices, if you're a dressage club, somebody who runs the Instagram maybe to handle like questions there, or somebody who will post on the Instagram, a media team if you have edited photos, just, people for different things, so it's not always on your shoulders. I can personally speak from experience that it is not easy being an owner or a leader or an instructor, because a lot of people depend on you, or even if it's a small club, people still depend on you, and it can get pretty exhausting. And so this is why having a team is best, and I really preach mental health and making sure that you are receiving help not only for what your responsibilities are in the club, but also for your mental health. So have a team that you can trust to go to if you need help on or off the game. That will really help you out. The next part is communication is key. Now, I really preach communication, both online and offline. I think that it's very important in life to communicate with people for very obvious reasons. But you want to really be understanding of your members. If they have stuff going on in real life and they cannot make the attendance policy for the week or for the month, that's fine. You have to communicate with them and say, hey, like, what's going on? Is everything okay? And if they're honest with you because they feel like they can trust you, because you have that communication at all times, then be understanding and give them a break. Don't just remove somebody right away. I always make sure I check in with people, make sure they're doing okay, not only when they don't show up, but also just on a daily basis. Hey, how are you doing? How is your day? That is very, very, very important. So you want to make sure that you have a comfortable atmosphere where people can share their opinions, they can share their feelings, so on and so forth. You just want to make sure that people trust you, that they can come to you for any issues, and you want to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So you always want to communicate what's going on in the club, any changes, any thoughts about changes. I always go to my leaders, and after going to them, I'll bring it up to the club and get thoughts and opinions there before I ever change anything, because I want everybody on the same page, and I value everyone's opinions equally, not just my leaders and instructors. I value everyone's opinions. So the last rule, and I don't want to say this is the most important because the other rules are very important, but this is really going to get your club off of the ground and growing. So that is being unique. You want to take names that you have not seen around. You want to take an outfit that you have not seen around. And the reason why is you don't want someone to look at your club and have it remind them of another club. So if there's this well-known club and you love what they do, that's fine. You can take inspiration from it. However, you don't want to just take everything that they have just because you like it. Because then people are not going to be interested in your club because it's something that they've already seen. When I created Saturn Manes, I did not see any clubs with Saturn or with manes, and so I chose it. Nobody used the Night Dust saddle pad, and I made things that were risks at the time, but paid off in the end because it made my club stand out. It made people curious in what I was doing with my club because it was different from what they've seen other clubs do. So for sure, you can be inspired by other clubs. However, there's a difference between being inspired and straight up copying. So make sure you are being unique and being yourself, and you create something that's new and exciting for people to grab their attention. So that's all I have to say for my tips on owning a club in general or trying to get your club successful. Remember, you should not own a club just for it to become successful. It should be something that you thoroughly enjoy doing, and it just so happens that it becomes successful while you're doing that. So definitely don't try to get big numbers. Don't try to just get noticed and be known. That's not how this should be. It should be something that you enjoy doing, and it just so happens that, you get numbers or whatever along the way, and then you use that for a good purpose. If you have any more questions, please don't be afraid to message me on Instagram. Don't be afraid to leave a comment and just ask away. And if you just need advice, I'm here. If you need help, I am here. You can share your accomplishments with me. You can share your downfalls with me. You can receive advice. You can vent. You can rant. You can ask questions. No matter what, I am always here for everybody. And please don't be afraid to reach out to me. I am not a scary person. I am always here to help. And thank you for watching.